According to the insolvency proceedings, one thing is clear. For the vast majority of former marketers, this chapter ends not with a settlement, but with an illusion. The reports now available from several insolvency administrators paint a sober, harsh and verifiable picture, one that has nothing to do with many of the publicly disseminated slogans of perseverance. Despite an existing economic crisis, contracts with approximately 18,500 marketers continue to be concluded after the insolvency filing in August of 2025. At the same time, over 40 foreign subsidiaries exist, which according to the insolvency administrators are effectively insolvent or economically worthless. Furthermore, there are significant doubts about the accuracy of previous financial statements. Given this insufficient assets, repayment from the insolvency estate is virtually impossible, or to put it bluntly, these claims are economically worthless. Further investigation, including data analysis by external auditors, is underway. The bare figures from the third report in the Lyconet Austria GmbH proceedings shows the active assets at €100,849.22, registered demands at approximately €8.6 million, of which €1.41 million was recognised. Of this amount disputed, €2.39 million and mass deficiency consists furthermore. This ratio is not an anomaly, it is structural. Even if all recognised claims remain valid, the total amount is nowhere near sufficient for a relevant quota. The insolvency administrators stated openly a payout is only conceivable if claims against third parties are successfully pursued, an important point for our customers. The asset disclosure notices from Myworld International AG also show how thin the actual substance is. Property market value only at €157,000. The brand Myworld listed for sale without stated value, a Learjet 75 OE GJW, insolvency sale value at approximately €4.27 million, and known for years to have serious engine shortage, multiple warranty claims and shutdowns since February of 2025. Over 40 foreign subsidiaries, formerly 100% shareholdings, in fact, according to the insolvency administrators, widely insolvent or worthless. The picture is clear. The international corporate structure suggested size of the insolvency reveals emptiness. The third report of the insolvency administrator leaves no room for interpretation on this issue. A significant portion of the registered claims are directed against companies that lack passive standing to be sued. Significantly, this means no contracts existed with the insolvent entity, rather with foreign subsidiaries, with operational Lyconet and Myworld subsidiaries, or with platforms outside the now insolvent legal entities. Legally, this is disastrous. Anyone who files a claim against the wrong debtor has no valid insolvency claim, regardless of how real the perceived economic damage is. The consequence is predictable: massive denials, formal rejections, and ultimately the exclusion of thousands of marketers from the process, not because of missed deadlines, but because of lack of legal basis for their claims. The now publicly available files confirm why a purely formal approach via individual registrations was doomed to failure from the outset. Claims against the wrong company, subordination, insufficient assets, and a lack of recourse to liability are not surprising, but rather inherent to the system. The situation is particularly precarious for marketers whose claims are classified as subordinate. For example, commission models, internal programs, loan-like structures, or internal system balances. The legal situation is as follows. Subordinated claims will only be satisfied after all other creditors have been fully satisfied. In the case of an existing insufficient mass, this is practically impossible. or to put it bluntly, these demands are economically dead. The hope of seeing any money through the insolvency itself is not only slim, it is unrealistic. The report cites several pieces of evidence that cannot be ignored from a legal point of view. Number one, doubts about the accuracy of previous annual financial statements. Number two, unclear time of material insolvency. Number three, contracts continued to be signed with approximately 18,500 marketers, even though the economic crisis was already underway. And number four, payment flows between group companies despite obvious imbalances. These are classic criteria for examining potential insolvency fraud under subsection 159 of the German Criminal Code. The further the review process, including data analysis by external auditors, is underway. The facts are clear and fully documented by reports from several insolvency administrators. Number one, without liability enforcement or criminal proceedings, virtually there's no money. And number two, subordinate creditors economically copied. And number three, relevant hope exclusively outside the classic insolvency quota. Anyone who still suggests today that simply filing a claim guarantees a later payment is either acting ignorantly or misleadingly. In conclusion, the insolvency proceedings surrounding the Myworld and Lyconet are not a distribution problem. They are a substance problem. For thousands of marketers, the journey doesn't end with a quota, but with the realisation that their claim never existed where they filed it. What remains are questions of liability, grounds for avoidance, and criminal investigations. For most, insolvency itself is merely the formal stage on which this chapter is finally closed.